Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Hemming Outdoors and Snare Trap Survive podcast. Today we're talking about 4 seconds until impact. Well, we've talked about this several times before, and I don't think we can actually go over this enough because the main goal we have here is to educate everybody about these animal attacks, about what to do in the event that you are attacked. So, let's get on with it. Animal attacks, we know, are on the rise. We can clearly see this every day. True, it's not in the mainstream media, but there's a reason behind that. The wildlife officials, they do not want you to know. Because the outdoor recreation is a $60 billion per year business. And parks and resorts, they play a huge role in that business model. So if the public is fearing an animal attack in one of these locations, then they're not going to go out to these locations, and thus revenue is going to go down. So considering that factor, then it would make sense for these officials to keep it quiet. But this is not only wrong, it also endangers those who have no clue what's going on. Now, our goal here is to educate the public and make them aware that those predators are out there in numbers, but at the same time, try not to instill fear of the outdoors. We don't want people to become afraid to go out. We just want them to be educated so that they know what to do when they do go out. Man has existed with predators for centuries. We've just simply forgotten how to live with them. Learning to coexist with these animals is the key. Learning their behavior is critical. And today, people just want to take pictures with them, call them cute and cuddly, and that alone has gotten a lot of people in serious trouble. Sooner or later, these type of people find themselves facing an animal that will kill you if threatened. And once they're in that situation, they realize that they have no idea what to do next. And in most cases, they have 4 seconds until impact, hence the name of the book. And this is the average time that it will take place for an attack to happen. And these attacks, there are 3 steps in this encounter. One is the actual encounter itself, where you're walking along a trail or whatever it may be, and the next thing you know, there's a predator in front of you, be it a bear, mountain lion, coyote, wolf, whatever it is. And in that instance, the animal is just as much surprised as you are. And then step 2 is realization. After a moment, both you and the animal come to the realization that you're facing a potential enemy. And this is where the brain then kicks in, and you have the fight or flight instinct take place. And then step 3 is the attack. If flight is considered to be useless due to many factors such as distance, state of the alarm, etc., then the animal is going to decide to fight, and then the attack is going to take place. Now, this is where it gets scary. Most predators can be on top of you in that 4-second mark. And once all these steps, these 3 steps take place, these three steps will probably take an average of 2.5 seconds. And then you're going, once it realizes that it's going to fight, once you realize there's going to be an attack, you have literally 4 seconds to make a decision. Because a full-grown grizzly can dash 50 yards in 3 seconds. And that's a speed of 40 miles per hour. And imagine being hit at 40 miles per hour with a 400 to 500 pound animal. I mean, that is almost the equivalent of being hit with a Volkswagen. 40 miles per hour, 400 to 500 pounds hitting you. Now, a cougar can run up to 55 miles per hour, so it's going to make that sprint in under 3 seconds. They can jump up to 20 feet high and as much as 20 to 40 feet in length from a standing position. So if you're in that range of a cougar, then you could be dinner. And that is alarming. Now, what to do if you're facing one of these animals? Now, veterans of the outdoors, campers, hikers, kayakers, hunters, so forth, they know the drill. They know what to do, especially in areas where mountain lions are common and grizzly bear. Now, let's go over mountain lions for a moment. And contrary to popular belief, mountain lion and the panther is the same animal. People will tell you otherwise, but they are the same animal. And now, what do you do if you are facing one of these creatures? Is it safer to run or just to stay put? And according to research, they've determined that it's kind of a balance between the two. They have learned that if you run, you have a higher chance of receiving fatal injuries. And that's obviously because when the cat attacks, it's going to attack first with a paw swipe that's going to take place somewhere around your waist, possibly the kidney area, a very, very deep cut. And then the next thing it's going to go for is it's going to go for the back of the neck. And one good crunch on the back of the neck, then the attack is over. Richard Koss, a psychology professor and expert on the evolution of predator-prey relationships at the University of California, studied the behavior of 185 people who were attacked by mountain lions between 1890 and 2000 in the U.S. and Canada. His findings reported that half of the 18 people who ran when they were attacked escaped injury. But the study also found that those who ran had a slightly higher chance of being killed during the attack. 28%, or 5 of those who fled, died as a result of their injuries, compared with 23%, or 8, of those who remained motionless during big cat attacks. About 39%, or 28 people, who moved away slowly when approached by a mountain lion escaped without injury. So that obviously tells you if there is a possibility that you can move away slowly during the encounter process, then that's your best approach. However, you want to be careful. You want to be careful that you don't stumble, because if you stumble, you're going to present yourself as a potential weakened or injured prey. And you are prey in the eyes of this animal. You are not a threat to them. You can call it a threat, but my personal opinion, you're not a threat. This animal knows that it outpowers you 20 to 1. So if you stumble, it's going to see you as a weakened prey. If you try to run and you're in rocks or uneven terrain and you're stumbling, again, you're going to be seen as injured or weakened prey and could possibly trigger the attack. Running in itself could trigger the attack. Never run from a predator at all. You will trigger the natural instinct for that animal to attack. Now, Richard goes on to say that, on the other hand, people who froze were least likely to escape injury when a mountain lion did attack. Only 26% of them escaped. They also had the greatest frequency of severe injuries. 43% of those who stood still in the face of a mountain lion attack were badly injured, compared with 17% of those who fled. So, putting all of this together, if you flee, you're most obviously going to trigger an attack, and there is a high possibility that that attack can be deadly. But if you stay still, you're going to most likely be attacked and you're going to receive the highest degree of injuries. So how do we fall in the middle ground? We'll have that answer coming up for you in just a moment. Stick with us.
Are you a survivalist? If so, then you may have heard of the Mora of Sweden. If you haven't heard of the Mora of Sweden, then listen up. Mora knives have been manufactured since 1891, and the same quality exists today as it did back then. The Mora Companion, a true outdoorsman's companion. The all-in-one knife for outdoor adventures, the patterned high-friction grip makes the knife pleasant to hold and easy to handle. Priced at just $16.99, it is the ideal knife for the true outdoorsman. Find it now at www.snare-trap-survive.com. Again, that is www.snare-trap-survive.com. Mora of Sweden, quality, dependability, affordability.
You may not be a prepper now, but you will be. Whether the next disaster is man-made or wrought by Mother Nature, you need a plan. Wise Food Store's emergency gourmet meals are made in the USA, delicious, easy to prepare, just add water, and packaged and proportioned perfectly, eliminating waste and creating a shelf life of up to 25 years.
Wise Company Survival Foods. Find them now at Snare Trap Survive. www.snare-trap-survive.com.
Welcome back to Snare Trap Survive and Hemming Outdoors podcast. We're talking about 4 seconds until impact. This is where the educating part comes into play. How do you fall into that middle ground? If I don't run, I'm going to get attacked. But if I run, I'm going to get attacked and could die. What do I do? Okay, remember when I said something about moving slowly and carefully away from the animal? Do not turn your back. And now the second part to that is you're going to need some way to defend yourself. If you have a large stick, and actually in this article that Richard wrote, he goes on to state that defending yourself with a stick can often fend off the animal. So what you want to do is you want to have something that you can defend yourself with, a large walking stick, a club. Some people have even hit them with their guns. But just standing still is going to present yourself as being vulnerable. Moving away slowly is going to tell that animal that you're still mobile and you're aware that it's there. So it's going to begin to weigh the risk reward in that situation. If it does attack, then you can use the stick to defend yourself and potentially have an opportunity to escape. Now, again, I want to stress, do not turn your back on the animal. Keep the animal in sight, staring it down, letting it know that you are aware that it's there. But then you also have to keep in mind that distance is going to reduce this effectiveness. Now, if you have distance and you have a good clear path to run, then you could possibly take your chances and run. I personally don't think I would run. I think I would just let it know that I see you, hey, I know you're there. And I'm going to get my stick and I'm going to slowly start moving away, keeping my eyes on that animal. That way I know if that animal charges, I'm going to be able to do something to defend myself. I'm going to be able to hit it, stab it, or whatever. That's another thing, knives. You want to carry a knife with you. And plug, Mora knives. They are extremely dependable, durable, and affordable. And we carry those in our store. In plug. But in all seriousness, check out the Mora knives. If you don't have one and you're an outdoors survivalist, hiker, hunter, camper, fisherman, whatever, you need a Mora knife in your kit and on your side. Having a knife during an attack could save your life, because animal, human, neither one of those like to be injured. And if it receives repeated injuries, it's a good possibility that it's going to back off from the attack. Now, one of the biggest things that can help you when you're in the outdoors, especially if you're going out with your family, is everyone stick together in a group. For God's sakes, don't let your little ones wander off by themselves in the wilderness. And that even includes uh, up to teenagers. Don't let them wander off into the wilderness. If you go out alone, by yourself, you're going to become a target simply because you are by yourself. You do not have other people with you. There's safety in numbers. I would say that the cougar is quite possibly the most intimidating and most dangerous animal that you can encounter as far as the attack goes. Now, grizzly bears, in my opinion, the second. A lot of times a grizzly bear attacks is it's attacking just to defend its young and to get rid of whatever it is that's in front of it by either dispatching it or making it leave the area. We all know the bear routine, and the bear routine is to make yourself bigger, make the animal aware that you know it's there, you're aware of its presence. Make yourself bigger, kind of get a little loud, get its attention, and slowly begin to move away. Now, don't trip over something. Make sure you're moving carefully, because we just had a report of a gentleman moving away from a grizzly, and he was doing everything right, but he didn't check his escape route, and he tripped over a log, and he triggered an attack, and just barely escaped that attack. He escaped it by firing a few rounds into the ground, and managed to get the bear to retreat. Um, you've heard the story, if you're attacked by a bear, to ball up and play dead. And that works a little bit to an extent, but one of the biggest things that you want to do when you're attacked by a bear is to cover your vital areas. And that is done by getting down on the ground. Don't lay on your side, because it's going to paw at your side, and you've got vital organs, lung, kidneys. Get down onto the ground with your face to the ground. Cover your hands behind the back of your neck and stay in that position. You're going to receive some injuries. It's probably going to be to the back, and it's going to be mostly in the form of short bites or claw attacks, but at least you have those vital areas covered. If you can get something to hit the animal with, again, the same thing with the mountain lion, the cougar. If you can hit the animal, you could potentially ward the animal off. There was an instance in North Carolina this past year when a man encountered a black bear on his carport, and both of them were alarmed by the encounter, and that immediately triggered an attack by the black bear. The bear had gotten him down and began slinging him all over the place, when he managed to get a hold of a stick and he hit the bear sharply across the nose, and that stopped the attack. The bear turned and fled off into the woods. Of course, he received serious injuries and was transported to the hospital, but at least he still had his life. Now, we've all heard on CNN the news about the runner being attacked by the young mountain lion. And this demonstrates something that I want people to get. Running. That's the thing. This mountain lion saw this person running, and that, in my opinion, is what triggered that attack. And that animal did quite a bit of damage, as you've seen if you saw it on the news media. Did quite a bit of damage, but he managed to put his foot on the animal's neck and basically choke it out. Now, I know Some people's going to say that sounds a little cruel, but it was life or death. And when it comes down to life or death, there is no such thing as cruelty. Now, for just a brief moment, I want to read a couple other encounters, and there's one thing in here that I want you to get. And I'll point that out when I get to it. But some of the attacks. In October of 1999, a 3-year-old child was killed on the Big South Trail west of Fort Collins. 3 years old. And that goes back to what I said earlier. Don't let your small children out of your sight because they are considered vulnerable and these animals will see them as prey. So 3 years old lost his life because he wandered possibly too far away and an attack took place. In 1991, a runner was killed by a mountain lion while jogging above Clear Creek High School in Idaho Springs. And again, jogging, that running, I think possibly triggered the attack. They go on to say that the last reported non-fatal attack was reported in 2016 in Pitkin County. And they go to say that fewer than 20 fatal mountain lion attacks on humans have been reported in North America over the past 100 years. Now, that's the point, that's the thing I want to point out. They use the word fatal. They do not say attacks in general. Fatal attacks. So they're using the fatal attacks to make their numbers smaller. They're not telling you about these non-fatal attacks. And that's the ones you need to know about, these non-fatal attacks. How many total, fatal and non-fatal, are taking place? And if you go to Wikipedia and look it up, it's going to give you a list of the fatal cougar attacks in North America. It's not going to give you a list of known total attacks. And they do, let me rephrase that. They do give you a list of total attacks, but it's total reported attacks. There are a lot of these attacks that happen in small towns that just don't get reported. So they're not listed in this 125 total attacks that they say took place in the past 100 years. If you look at this 125 attacks over 100 years, then you can conclude, well, they're saying that basically 1 to possibly 2 attacks occur per year. But then when you start doing some research, you find that there are a lot more happening that is not included on that list there in Wikipedia. And one of them, for example, I'm pulling it up right now, this is California Department of Fish and Wildlife. I'm seeing, here's 2 in 1986 occurred, 1 in 1992, 1 in 1993, so we're staying in the 1 and 2 range. Then in 1994 there were 3 that had happened. 1995 there was another one. There were 2, 3 of them in 2004. Okay, so we're already above that 1 to 2 per year across the United States. This is just in one state. We're already above that number of 1 to 2. And then they skipped a few years, and then in 2007, they're trying to tell us that between 2004 and 2007, there were no attacks, or were there? Okay, let's just say they weren't. But then in 2007, we had 1, 2012, then in 2014, so the numbers on the attacks are going down a little bit at that point. But what about other states? Okay, so now I'm going to read just one of the resources that I've come across. This is a list of mountain lion attacks on people in the U.S. and Canada, but not including California. So this is actually leaving some out. So in 1991, there was 2 attacks. 1992, This gentleman just has one attack. 1995 is one attack. 96 is one attack. Now in 1997 we got 1, 2, 3 attacks. And then in 1998 there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 attacks in 98. What happened to that 1 to 2 number? Just 1 to 2, they say. That's all that takes place. But right here we see in 1998, 5 attacks, not including California. Okay, so let's look at the ones in California. Let's see if we can find 1998. 95, 96, there was nothing to show in California in 98. But didn't we see one on that previously? Let me look back on this and see. Okay, the ones in California were 1995. So, but the point was we are above that 1 to 2 number that they want us to believe in. I'm going to continue on down the list here. In 1999, there was one attack. In 2000, we have 1, 2, 3 in 2000. In 2001, we have 1, 2, 3. So again, we're above that 1 to 2 number just in one state. So instead of rambling on, I'm going to leave it at this. I think you're getting the point here, and that point is that they are not going to tell you the truth. And besides, it takes a lot of effort for them to gather all of these statistics, and just to be quite honest, they've got better things to do than look out for your safety. So, to sum it all up, before I get the rest of the podcast going here, because I want you to listen to a sample from the book, to sum it all up, you're not going to get the actual information that you need from the wildlife officials. You're going to have to get it from the small towns, the small news media, the people who can actually show you the scars and talk to you about when they were attacked and how they were attacked. And this goes for bears, wolves, coyotes, you name it. So if you want to learn more about these attacks and learn how to protect yourself, buy the book. It's only $18.99. That's not a lot of money for you to spend for your safety or the safety of your family. And if you're still curious about what's in the book, stick around for the preview that's coming up right after this.
Are you a survivalist? If so, then you may have heard of the Mora of Sweden. If you haven't heard of the Mora of Sweden, then listen up. Mora knives have been manufactured since 1891, and the same quality exists today as it did back then. The Mora Companion, a true outdoorsman's companion. The all-in-one knife for outdoor adventures, the patterned high-friction grip makes the knife pleasant to hold and easy to handle. Priced at just $16.99, it is the ideal knife for the true outdoorsman. Find it now at www.snare-trap-survive.com. Again, that is www.snare-trap-survive.com. Mora of Sweden, quality, dependability, affordability.
You may not be a prepper now, but you will be. Whether the next disaster is man-made or wrought by Mother Nature, you need a plan. Wise Food Store's emergency gourmet meals are made in the USA, delicious, easy to prepare, just add water, and packaged and proportioned perfectly, eliminating waste and creating a shelf life of up to 25 years.
Wise Company Survival Foods. Find them now at Snare Trap Survive. www.snare-trap-survive.com.
Welcome back to Snare Trap Survive and Hemming Outdoors podcast. We're talking about 4 seconds until impact. Before we get into it, I want to ask you guys, visit our website at snare-trap-survive.com. We carry some really cool and affordable survival snaring kits. We have the Duke 110 body traps, planning to carry the 220s and 330s very soon. We can order those for you if you want them. Just takes just a little bit longer for them to get here. We also carry Mora knives and Wise Company survival foods, as well as some of the other amazing books written by author Bruce Buckshot Hemming. So with that out of the way, let's dive right into the preview of 4 Seconds Until Impact.
Now, the mission and purpose of this book is to save human lives. It is, however, not written to instill fear and panic in the population. We must come to terms with living with large predators. Most debates seem to be centered around two trains of thought: coexist with large predators and accept some human fatalities, or a total extinction of a species. Yet there is a third option that is usually ignored and not even talked about. The third option is controlled, regulated hunting to instill fear in predators. One must understand how hunting works to achieve this goal. For instance, hunters of grizzly bears successfully harvest large boar grizzlies. When other bears come upon the scene and smell what has happened, that the large boar was killed by humans, the mother bear realizes her cubs could be in danger and teaches them to avoid contact with man. It is the same with other bears that come across the scene. Now, of course, a formula must be worked out. Say within a certain area there are X number of bears. In order to maintain the bear population, no more than Y amount of bears can be hunted. The end result is the bear population survives for future generations to see and enjoy. Plus, human safety is greatly increased. If less than Y number is hunted, the next number will increase and, likewise, the chance of an encounter will increase. There is no such thing as a natural fear of man. We must stop this quintessential approach that predators are cute and cuddly and face reality. Large predators kill for a living. Predators eat meat. Humans are meat. If a mountain lion could talk, could we understand his train of thought? Their thinking is food first, water, a place to den, and, in certain times of the year, mating. Their life involves a constant search for food. Mating and food are directly related. The more food, the more mating, and the higher the population of a given species. That holds true for humans as well. The human population did not increase until we changed from hunters-gatherers and became farmers with domestic livestock for our protein needs. Once food increased, the human population increased. The same is true for animals. For example, in the Yellowstone wolf studies, they found that in the first 8 years, the wolf population increased dramatically at 1,000%, with some denning sites producing 2 litters of pups and even one pair that had 3 litters of pups in a single year. There was plenty of food with abundant elk in the area. Now that the elk population or food supply has been greatly reduced, the wolves are only having a single litter a year and fewer pups per litter. When dealing with predators, you must understand what predator pit means. A predator pit is created when elk populations have been reduced for various reasons and existing key predators, like wolves, bears, and cougars can drive those numbers even further into an abyss, perhaps prohibiting a regrowth of the herd. Lack of food or prey species is directly related to the increased human attacks we are seeing around the country. Within this discussion, you must understand carrying capacity, which is defined as the maximum population size of the species that the environment can sustain indefinitely, given the food, habitat, water, and other necessities available in the environment. Again, once carry capacity is met, competition for food increases, resulting in more human attacks. In the 21st century, a lot of humans think they know more than the last generation, and the so-called experts have researched it enough to know all the facts, that the science has been settled. This is especially problematic in today's world where having that college degree makes an individual an expert even though they have very little real-world experience. One must remember that pessimistic meta-induction, defined and paraphrased as what we know now as fact, may be proven wrong at any given moment. When it comes to the subject of wildlife, the pessimistic meta-induction has come about on a regular basis. sometimes resulting in catastrophic results including unintended deaths of wildlife and humans.
Okay, guys, we're going to wrap it up here. That's it for this edition of Preview of 4 Seconds Until Impact. I'm Roger with Snare Trap Survive and Hemming Outdoors. We'll see you on the next one.
Hemming Outdoors podcast sponsored by MorelMushroomHunting.com. It's not just a survival skill, it's a way of life. Podcast produced by Power Surge Media, affordable, dependable website hosting, video production and audio. Get your website today at powersurgemedia.com. Special mentions: Idina's social media promotions, putting your business in the spotlight. Facebook.com/Idina's Promotions. Contact Idina's Promotions for your marketing needs. And Real Sportsman TV. Making dreams come true. RealSportsmanTV.com. Advertise with Hemming Outdoors Podcast. For advertising opportunities, send us an email at sales@snare-trap-survive.com or visit our website, snare-trap-survive.com, and use the contact form.